Welcome back to the wrap up, everyone. Today is September 5th, 2024. Before we dive into today's topics, take a moment to click that repost button and follow us here on X if you haven't already. It helps a ton and ensures you won't miss any of our upcoming content.
Okay, remember, what you hear in this podcast is literally just our opinion. It's not professional financial advice. We're not experts. Sorry, Jason Tatum showing up. He wants to talk. If you need specific advice, please ask someone who's a professional in that area. Listen at your own risk and always double check before making decisions based upon what we talk about. Sage, what are the top stories for today?
Top story for today is Gitcoin. Thanks to Gitcoin, LUKSO is launching its very first quadratic funding round. And this is a decentralized, community-based counterpart to the LUKSO Foundation's grant program launched earlier this year, says Clara, the head of ecosystem funding at Fancy. That's the LUKSO Foundation. For those that aren't aware of how quadratic funding works, the idea is that LUKSO provides a pool of capital, which in this case is 50,000 USD in LIX, to help match donations, right? So then the community donates to whatever project they'd like to see funded that's participating in the round. And then based on the amount of donors, not the amount of LIX, the matching pool kicks in and starts dishing out funds from the LUKSO Foundation, right? So essentially, a project that has 5 donors, maybe give 100 LIX, will not earn as much of a match from the LUKSO Foundation as a project who has 100 donors that all give 5 LIX, right? Jonathan Wan, BD lead at LUKSO, put it perfectly. The beauty of quadratic funding is that it encourages a diversity of thought. It levels the playing field, allowing even the smallest voices to have a big impact. Amen there. Moral of the story, spread the wealth. Give even a little bit of LIX to as many projects as you would like to ensure, ensure they benefit from the matching pool. Now, Gitcoin is a fantastic partner for many reasons, not only because of the QF mechanisms, but also because they have a huge platform, right? It brings on a significant amount of exposure to all of the projects participating in the round, as you'll be, broadcasted on their blog posts and their Twitter. Project applications opened on September 3rd, which was now 2 days ago, and will close on the 10th. So if your project looking to get in on these funds, make sure to do so. And the period for donations will start on the 12th of September and run until the 26th. For the entire lowdown on this round, Gitcoin put out a blog post, which we will link in our YouTube show notes here, so you'll be able to get the full read on what everything that's going on. Now, Eth, how are you feeling about this LUKSO round on Gitcoin? You're muted.
Well, I'll get used to this like muting thing, while you're talking and I'm trying not to breathe heavily into the mic. Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about the Gitcoin round. It actually gives an opportunity for the community to have a voice, which is something that I think is really important. Our community in particular, because we like to be vocal and we like to be opinionated. So it allows us to put the money where our mouths are, right? So many people are talking about the things that should get funded. So go out there and fund the things that you think should be funded. And luckily, through this mechanism that's available through Gitcoin quadratic funding, the more people that speak up for a project, the better. That just means more money is going to come there. This is another step on the path towards decentralization across the entire ecosystem. The LUKSO Foundation is really a steward, right? That is watching out for the long-term growth and health of the LUKSO network and all the projects involved on it. And we, the users, now get to participate in that mission to steward long-term health by just, like I said, putting our money where our mouths are. So no more empty talk. Get on Gitcoin and donate to the projects that you find to be most valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of small voices around LUKSO, a lot of voices that tend to not be heard. So this is the perfect opportunity for them. And yeah, great point about, decentralizing the grants, right? Ideally, we have grants coming from as many areas as we can, right? From the foundation, from Gitcoin, from groups like Keys, from as many places that we can to help projects benefit. So yeah, totally.
Okay, I guess I'll take it from here. So I get a segment today. I'm going to talk about the follower system. So Rob, why don't you throw up that first graphic? LSP26 is a follower system that just came out. You can check in the docs.luxo.tech and you can follow into the standards and you can find this exact screen share that I'm giving you right here. You can even click in for the technical documentation in the standard document there, but the introduction says LSP26 introduces a follower system that allows any address, whether it's a smart contract account like an ERC725 account or even an externally owned account, just a regular EOA, to participate in a decentralized social graph. Fabian often said that implementing a follower system would be a pretty straightforward task. He even described it as nothing more than a basic registry of addresses. And then when he found some time, that's exactly what he built, a simple registry of addresses with a couple tweaks, which actually makes it pretty interesting. If you're wondering what a registry is, um, or what this standard represents, a registry is just a system or a database that keeps track of specific information in an organized manner. In tech, right, it often refers to a structured collection of records or data where each entry is uniquely identifiable. For example, in this case, in the Luxo blockchain, a registry here is used to just store and manage who's following who, right? I'm following Sage and or he's following me. And in the context of this follower system, this registry is literally just recording all of those interactions so that it's um, let's say, accessible by anyone who wants that information. What does a standard really just represent here? Well, again, in the documentation, it says the system provides a foundation for social features in blockchain applications, and it enables developers to create more engaging and interconnected user experiences. This document goes on to talk about example use cases. So an example use case is says, hey, we're going to have social media dApps. It'll allow you to build decentralized social platforms with follower slash following functionality. You'll be able to do content creation, create personalized content feeds based on followed addresses. You could have reputation systems where you're developing trust or influencing metrics based on follower counts and relationships. And lastly, follow protocols, allowing addresses of protocols to be followed and protocols to react on following addresses. Okay, at this point, I think most people in the Luxo ecosystem have probably played around with following someone. You can do it quite easily if you go to UniversalProfile.cloud. And I'm going to show you a screenshot here of Marvin's universal profile. Marvin's universal profile, you can see he's got a few tags. He's got human, dev, and creator. He's got a couple links at the bottom that goes to his pink rock collection as well as the bulls. You can see his nice avatar. You can see he doesn't have a header image selected, so it's not coming in there at the top. You can see some icons if you want to move to universal page or universal swaps. There's a lot going on here, and you can see that black button that says follow. You can also see that he's following 14 people and has 103 followers. You might ask yourself, why am I shouting out Marvin? Well, I'm going to shout out Marvin because he quickly, as a developer, embraced this follower standard literally on day one and provided the community with 3 ways to engage with it. As Jordy Dutch from the Staking Verse and Sigmatic put it, imagine how much stronger this community would be if we had 100 more Marvins who are willing to go out there and throw up interesting things for the community to interact with, leveraging the LSP. So the first graphic on the Luxo.pink website, we've got the top 420 Luxo profiles by followers. This was the first thing that Marvin kind of threw out there that people were playing around with. This allows you to go to the site and you can find a list of I would say, the most popular or the more popular accounts on Luxo using universal profiles, and you can follow them. Now, what are you going to get when you follow these people? I don't know. You can check their tokens. You can check what assets they hold. You can see who's following who. Right now, we're kind of limited because there's not a ton of applications on mainnet. But what's interesting about this is you literally just click on top of the profile and then you can sign the transaction you're following them. And actually, you can do it in a batch format. So if you want to follow all 420 addresses that are listed on this page, you can click them all. And with one signed transaction, that batch follower system, you will get them all. Kind of cool, right? This is only one of these simple tools that Marvin dropped. He actually dropped another one because now you can just reference all the profiles in this directory and all of their follows. He's got the Luxo profiles directory. Now he's just indexing all of the profiles across the ecosystem. We've got 23,212 at this moment. And if you click in there, you can actually then see, again, a list of followers. Kind of cool. Again, just Marvin leveraging open source standards to create these graphics for users of the blockchain. Marvin then also took the follower system and built something else. He drew built pink.draw or pink/draw, which takes the follower standard. You just input your up address, right? So if I wanted to do a giveaway, I'd put my up address into the up address input bar in the form there. I'd pick the number of winners that I want, and I'll draw the winners. And based upon blockchain, like actual block data, um, you know, what we mean is like the block number um, in the blockchain, the LUKSO blockchain, it will then compute 5 random winners because I selected 5 people. It's actually really neat. Like, how many times have there been a giveaway on Twitter? You know, like retweet this and follow and comment, and we'll pick a random winner. And you never know how random this is or if people are gaming the system. This here is true randomness, right? We're going to get 5 random winners from the verified registry of followers for a universal profile. Super cool. Marvin threw this up in a really short amount of time. Again, all leveraging LSP26, the follower system. Thank you, Marvin. And I'll reiterate, if we had 100 more Marvins, there would be 100 more of these applications up there that people could play with. I think that's really cool. Moving on, I've got a shot of Commissar Senua. Now, I'm probably saying that wrong. There's probably a better way to pronounce that, but I've chosen this one here because be, um, I want to showcase the fact that this is a standard, and this screen here, this social interaction on this app chain actually extends beyond just the UniversalProfile.cloud page. So if you go to UniversalProfiles.cloud, you can actually recreate the same image if you look for Commissar, and you can find it. And you can see that nice follow button off to the right. You can see all the tags. You can see the links at the bottom. You can see if you click on who Commissar is following, you can figure that out. If you want to know who's following Commissar, you can figure that out as well. If you want to follow, you just click the follow button and you get this nice little pop up from your browser extension with the long click to confirm. And in the transaction window, it's literally going to say following, right? I think, Rob, we're going to go to the next one there so they can just see. Yeah, right there. See, boom. It's pretty. The smart contract execution literally says follow. I want to follow them. It's telling me I'm following that. It's a pretty straightforward communication of what's happening in this transaction. Now, I've got a graphic here. It says, what does this standard represent? It might be a little bit out of order because I had a cool slideshow previously. However, this graphic right here, I want to call attention to the fact that the user A interacts, like basically starts an interaction stream where he's going to follow somebody's, like user A wants to follow user B. What it's going to do is it's going to log that user A now follows user B in the contract, like in that registry. The interesting part is there's an LSP1 integration. And because of that, other accounts are going to know that this happened because other accounts now know that this follow happened due to LSP1. Savvy builders can actually leverage this part of the standard to do neat things that maybe just wasn't easily done before. I've got a graphic here from UFeed. When you log on to UFeed, UFeed's going to ping you and say, hey, do you want to enable notifications? If you click allow, because of the integration with the LSP1 standard, that universal receiver, every time you follow someone or someone follows you, you're going to get a nice little notification, right? It's going to be almost a Web2 experience here on the blockchain, super social. And that's because of this simple smart contract standard, LSP26, that was put together around the socials. Again, this has to do with that LSP1 integration. People say all the time, why don't we just move universal profiles over to another chain, right? Couldn't we just use them there? The answer is it's all of the smart contracts working together that makes this ecosystem so powerful. Sure, you could use this browser extension in other places, but unless they've deployed all of these smart contracts, in this case, LSP1, you're not going to get this really slick user experience, right? That has been really carefully thought out by the team over an extended period now. So we're showing you that notification system. I've showed you Commissar Senua's account. Let me just show you how cool this follower system is because it's a standard. Now, any platform that wants to leverage this follower standard independent of the platform, meaning it doesn't matter what the app's built, you just plug in the follower standard and you're going to get all of these followers. You're going to pull all the information in the registry into the screen. So I've got a graphic from UFeed here. We've got the Commissar's account. Boom, that's their profile page. And look, we've got all the Commissar's followers right there. And you can follow directly from that account as well. That's pretty cool. In this case here, previously, the follower standard said this could enable customized feeds. Well, what do you see to the right here on UFeed? Oh, you see a feed of information, a bunch of posts from Commissar. And this can be tweaked and make more and more valuable over time. Let's look at another graphic, Universal Swaps, another platform that immediately integrated the follower feature. Boom, look again. We've got all of the verified followers from LSP26 showing up on this dashboard. This is Universal Swaps. This is a DEX. You can even follow right through the DEX again. Isn't that really cool? We didn't need USwaps did not need to build a specialized follower system that lives only on their platform. This saves the developers all that time. All you have to do is plug in now to this standard registry of user interactions, this social graph, and you can immediately leverage it on the site. All right, last thing I've got for you, last little screenshot here. It's actually a post from me, and it says, hey, this was for UFeed, but I think this is better for LUKSO in general. LUKSO's not aiming for 1 million users overnight. Instead, LUKSO's really looking for super fans, right? And I posted this for UFeed, but I'm extending it to LUKSO. We're looking for the people who are ready to grow with us, and that means the LUKSO community to be part of the journey as we explore what Web3 social truly means for society. So come check out the platform. And by platform, I mean the LUKSO network and all of its integrated apps. We know that it's not perfect at the moment, but perfection isn't the immediate goal. We want feedback. We want the thoughts of the community. We want to know the dreams of the community. And we want the platform to reflect the diverse and pioneering spirit of this greater LUKSO community. And after all, this feed is about you. And yes, I said that about UFeed, but in truth, this entire let's say the wrap up, everything that LUKSO is doing, the Gitcoin round, it's all about us, we the people, right? This is a decentralized ecosystem. This blockchain wouldn't run without that decentralized network of nodes and validators. So embrace this, use it, give feedback in a polite way, right? Figure out new ways to leverage it, become a Marvin. All of those things would be beneficial because we make up this entire ecosystem together. And yeah, on that note, I think I'm going to turn it back to Sage. You're muted, dude.
Awesome. Great stuff. Great segment there, ETH. I think one quick shout out to that pink.draw by Marvin. Keys is running a giveaway right now. You can go follow the Keys up, and we're gonna use that little pop up there by Marvin to do a giveaway at the end of the week on our spaces next Wednesday. So, quick plug there. Thanks again for that. This is also a great segue into our next segment, where we did an interview with the UPturn founder, Ledfut. Ledfut, if you're not familiar with them, is a DJ. Here, this picture right here is an image of him DJing at the LUKSO event in Berlin, where he's in VR, right? So he's using the District VR, which is another, it's a DJ kind of platform that is integrated with LUKSO Universal Profiles. And he is DJing for this event live into the room. You can hear it across all 3 floors and outside through his VR headset. But that man, Ledfut, just released his project UPturn, right, which is a token generator best used for loyalty tokens. If you're an artist or creator, you can create tokens that you can then distribute to your most loyal fans for supporting you. With UPturn, Ledfut recognizes the value prop of universal profiles and the role they can play for artist ownership of media, data transparency and data collection, and fan appreciation. We can roll that clip there, Rob.
Having that direct fan to artist communication, being able to interact with each other. Like Spotify, it doesn't give you even any data, any user data. You don't know who's listening to your music, if it's anyone. They've probably got some stream farm in the middle of nowhere, streaming billions and billions of plays. It looks like there's plays on their platform or something like that. It's just, there's no real data there. It's just made up. Universal Profiles is the exact use case for this. Profile data is completely transparent. They're on the blockchain. We'll know who's listening to our music because it's going to be recorded. So I think, yeah, when something like that comes out, that's going to be a real game changer. I think that's what blockchain technology and what we're going to try and do with UPturn, it's such a big idea, but I think something has to give.
Data is king, right? As we all know, it's the number one asset in the world. And the fact that Spotify is able to retain all that data, and even if it's not relevant like Ledfut is, at least some of it has some legitimacy in the fact that it doesn't reach the artist itself and is siloed with those platforms that they put them on is quite a shame. So with universal profiles, we'll finally be able to see, that data being directly associated with the user and being able to be accessed by the artist, which would be awesome to see. ETH talked about the follower system earlier. That's a very first example of how we see this playing out on LUKSO specifically. Now, the beauty of universal profiles and the LSPs lies not in where they are today, but where we can't see. And Ledfut hints on this as he's talking about how we utilize the updatable metadata standard with UPturn.
You can change all the metadata of the token contract within our editor. So once you've deployed the token and the contract actually exists, as the creator of that token and deploy, you can go into our editor UI and edit all these options that you've selected. That's quite novel. I like to call it like a no-code token generation. The ability to amend the metadata is something that's quite new to us. And I think we probably haven't even realized what the use case will be, but eventually I'm sure something will come up that nobody really realized was possible. And that's the power of LUKSO. It's such early days that we don't really know what these standards will be used for in the future, but it's exciting for sure.
Now, updatable metadata is quite novel, as Ledfut put right there, oh so enthusiastically. But the big point that I liked of that clip is that last kind of comment that he makes of, they're doing all this stuff on LUKSO. They're committed to moving forward on LUKSO. They have all these big ideas of how they can help artists and their users on LUKSO. And the idea is that, you have these standards here that they can see right now tangibly, like the follower system, what kind of impact it can make. But ultimately, these universal profiles and these LSPs are a foundation, right? A foundation to make big change. And even the tech team and Fabian, these guys have said before, they don't know all the use cases that are going to be able to come from these things, right? So it'll only get more exciting as we'll be able to see people entering the ecosystem and coming up with new and exciting use cases for this tech. One thing that is not so novel, but ever so important is earnability. And you see it in yield farming, right? But why not creator fan bases?
I also think digital assets have got to this point where everyone's so focused on buying something and then it potentially appreciating in value or buying something. But what about like earning? Like earnability is only really talked about when you're talking about how yield farms and all this kind of stuff and staking. I really think if we're going to make this, bring it to the masses, it has to be available to everyone. It shouldn't be elitist. It shouldn't be excluding people who don't necessarily have the funds to buy a $20,000 NFT. So I think giving this earnability idea to businesses and creators and artists to be able to allow their fan base to earn and work with them and support them in the same way, totally separate to any platform, is awesome.
Across those three clips, you can definitely see why why Ledfut has chosen LUKSO. I mean, he's talking about, breaking down the barriers of needing to buy into these things, right? That's a trend that you see across all of cryptos, needing to, go purchase an NFT to be able to get into a group, right? But he's talking about earnability, and he's talking about, democratizing access, which is fantastic, and a common theme that we've seen, generally across crypto as a thought, but haven't seen it in practice as much, which I will mention in another segment later as a quick plug. But for now, there will be a full interview with Ledfut and myself that'll go out on our YouTube tomorrow. It's about 20 minutes long. It's good stuff. It gives a whole breakdown of UPturn and what he's thinking and where he's going with that thing. So make sure to check that out when it releases. We'll put that out on our X as well. Now I'm going to throw it over to the 8-Armed Alts Anonymous. Today, he's got a boatload of information to tell us about ENS names and how Base's method are a little bit too centralized for his liking.
Hey, fam. Not sure if you saw Yaman's tweet and subsequent Medium article on the Base naming system, but I thought it was full of amazing info, and I wanted to highlight some of it here. With LUKSO being the blockchain for social, it's good to know, why decentralization matters in every aspect. His article goes into great depth, so I'm just going to kind of mention a few of those points here. With base names, we're talking simplified addresses. .base.eth names make blockchain addresses human readable. It's ENS-like, so it's similar to .eth names, but on the base layer blockchain. Now, the wildcard resolution is queries are redirected if subnames aren't found on Ethereum. So that makes for off-chain data. So they uses external URLs for name resolution, not Ethereum. It's a key point right there. So it's controlled by Base. Ownership secured on Base, but the resolution is Base team's control. So, which nets a dangerous trade-off in the end, right? So it's easier to onboard people, but much less control. So to kind of, make it more clear for the non-technical peeps, let's just talk about an analogy here. So, imagine you're a pirate on the open seas for a treasure hunt. Now, instead of having a long list of complicated GPS coordinates to find said treasure, you're simply giving an easy-to-remember clue like find the treasure on the island where King Louis XIV is buried. This, of course, makes it much easier for you to navigate. Now, let's say they decide to store those exact same clues, but in a centralized location, like a treasure map that's only available in the king's personal library. So if someone controls that library, they could change the clues. They could lead people to the wrong spot, or it could be a hoax and there's no treasure at all to be found. So this is central control, similar to how .base.eth names work. Although you own your name, the directions or those clues that people follow to find your address can be changed by whoever controls that system. So why is decentralization important here? Now, in a truly decentralized system, there's no single library or central authority controlling the treasure map at all. Everyone has equal access to the same information, and no one can secretly alter the clues or change the map without everyone else knowing. So this ensures that the ownership and control of your .eth or your .base.eth name are fully in your hands, and no one can redirect it or tamper with it. So this means you truly own and control your digital identity without relying on or trusting a third party like Base. So it also protects against censorship, fraud, and potential security risks, ensuring that the blockchain remains a reliable and trustworthy system for everyone involved. I highly recommend giving Yaman's Medium article a read, as it really goes into great description about why things like the ERC 3668 resolver, could be pointed to an internal database managed by the Base team, which that could cause issues with backend logic and other, major concerns with the centralized solution. So in essence, you give all of your faith to the Base team. So now I'm sure they are great and all, but that's not the ethos of Web3. That's not why we're here. And that's not the pirate code, Before I head back to my treasure hunt, let me hit you with one rhetorical question. Why is pirating so addictive?
They say once ye lose ye first hand, ye get hooked.
Tough bout there, Alts fighting that dragon. Great joke too. Wouldn't be the wrap up without a nice Alts joke. But yeah, if you haven't checked out that article from Yaman, definitely check it out. That was a great synopsis there by Alts, which was awesome to see. On to our last segment of the day. LUKSO announced they are partnering with various projects to host a hacker house in Vietnam next week. One of those partners is DeSci a proclaimed hub of decentralized science. For those who don't know, DeSci, or decentralized science, is a movement attempting to change scientific research and collaboration through the use of blockchain technology and other Web3 technologies. The goal of DeSci is to make scientific discovery, knowledge sharing, and intellectual property management more accessible, transparent, and collaborative. But there have been some anonymous posts flying around the X-sphere recently with DeSci contributors claiming that a bunch of DeSci groups are falling back into similar patterns that they initially set out to break. Some of those patterns being publication rights held by a select few, improper capital allocation, unfair treatment of researchers, and much more. At the crux of it, we see similar issues here like we do with music labels, art houses, and any other publication that's capital driven. Individuals aren't able to produce at scale or with the legitimacy they need to without these entities. However, after doing so, are often left underfunded, undervalued, and underappreciated. So the meme comes through here We have the promise of DeSci, which is this ability for researchers to come in and not have to jump through the hoops of finding a publication and not have to worry about, you know, their funding being misallocated or drying up or anything like that, right? They finally have this decentralized way for them to put their work forward. And up until now, a lot of people, at least on the Twitter sphere, would claim that it's taken maybe a crypto first approach and a science second mentality, which when you're talking about something that should be, right, a public good as research, it taking a crypto first approach is not ideal, and a lot of the researchers are feeling that effect. So ultimately, why I bring this up is it's very cool that LUKSO is partnering with a DeSci project over in Vietnam, especially someone like DeSci World, right, who's pretty big in the space. Nobody has tried DeSci on LUKSO yet. And with that exposure we got going on there, hopefully DeSci World might start making some transitions over to LUKSO. I could see Universal Profiles having a big impact when it comes to, you know, retaining full ownership of research pieces and funding transparency and all the things that we kind of have promised around with this crypto movement, but haven't really been seen too much, right? And LUKSO, with the promise of getting back to those narratives, right, like Alts hit on, hopefully we can see that transition there. Now that's I've got one more section actually. Sorry, lied there. Last section will be real quick. It's on the Dencun fork. After many tests and months of watching the stability of the Ethereum network, LUKSO team is finally proposing the Dencun hard fork for LUKSO testnet. This is another step towards the mainnet hard fork, which will come shortly after a smooth testnet transition. If you're a testnet validator, RPC provider, or run a testnet node, please get your nodes updated and ready for the hard fork on September 18th, 2024. It's at 4:20 p.m. UTC. If you don't know how to do that or would like help on that, you can always head over to the Stakingverse, who put together an article kind of covering the Dencun fork, all the biggest information surrounding it, what is needed from LUKSO validators, and what this might look like moving forward. For those of you who don't know what the Dencun fork is, it's essentially here to increase Ethereum scalability and operational efficiency, right? Accommodate larger numbers of transactions without compromising performance, make Ethereum more cost effective, and has a lot of impact on layer 2 solutions as well. With there being no layer 2s on LUKSO, that's not as prevalent, but you know, with LUKSO being another EVM and ETH2, we get to benefit from all of these adjustments and breakthroughs that are made at the layer 1 level. So again, yep, if you're a validator on testnet, make sure you're paying attention for updates on that, and check out the Stakingverse article there. In closing here, thanks to everyone for listening. If you're looking for more Keys content, check out our Sunday newsletters where we cover all the need-to-know info from the past week in LUKSO. Live on our Common Ground and streaming on X, we have lightning talks on Tuesdays, collection of 5-minute presentations from LUKSO community members. On our site, you can look to catch blog posts from myself. That's also where our newsletter will be hidden. And every Monday, I look out for medium rare with beef banks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and turn notifications on so you don't miss anything. ETH, anything to say there as we jump off here?
No, I've got not much to say, honestly. I was thinking about something to say and I can't think of anything good, so I'm gonna let it end right there.
Nice. Good thing we'll be back same time, same day next week. Maybe you'll remember it by then.
Maybe. We'll see.
Sweet. All right. Thanks everyone for coming.
Okay.